Thank you for attending today's Pitch Me. For today's Pitch Me, we have two presenters, but just before we get into their presentations, let's first meet our esteemed panelists. First, we have Amit Anagnos, who is the principal of Results CFO. Then we have Christopher Bell III, who is the Chief Operating Officer for Stealthonomics. And we have Lorette Farris, who is the CEO and Business Strategist for iBoss Inc. Today's first presenter is going to be Christopher King of Conscious Real Estate Investor Roundtable. And so, Christopher, if you'll come on up and do your thing.
Thank you. Good afternoon to my esteemed panel. I look forward to presenting to you all a wonderful concept based upon the principles of committing to a higher purpose to redevelop a city that's in desperate need of change, and that is Baltimore City. So what I want to present to you today is a model called Conscious Community Baltimore, a model based on real estate development that will help transform the city as well as create jobs, create business opportunities, and provide financial literacy. Conscious Real Estate Investors Roundtable, which we call Investing with a Higher Purpose, is a model that's committed to collaborating to redevelop vibrant, engaged communities in the city of Baltimore, one block at a time. We approach real estate by educating our members to start with a higher purpose than just making money. We call it putting people over profit. And that business would empower them to transform and create wealth for all stakeholders. We are a team of real estate investors, developers, and real estate professionals who are committed to transforming neighborhoods in Baltimore City. Our objective is to train, mentor, and partner with 150 conscious-minded entrepreneurs who believe in the model of doing great by doing good and helping to make Baltimore City the charm city that has its name. Our strategic partners in this model is Live Baltimore, which is a marketing nonprofit organization in Baltimore City, Union Baptist Church, Harbor Bank, HUD Housing nonprofit organizations, the City of Baltimore itself, and Conscious Capitalism business chapters. Our business model is this. Our phase one, we're going to purchase 20 blighted properties from the City of Baltimore. Properties would be purchased for $5,000 a piece. Our model is to sell these properties as a package to our Conscious Roundtable investor members for $20,000 per property. And then we're going to use Conscious Business Systems to manage this process. Our package includes properties, again, the price of being $5,000, a developer, a scope of work, and funding source options. We're also going to provide neighborhood research and amenities. And then we're also going to provide a home buyer leasee who will then, we call it invest to own for 2 to 5 years. And we call it invest to own because we believe that even a home buyer has to invest in this model in order for it to work. Our capital required that we're seeking is $500,000. This capital will be used as to secure a loan for $5 million for Harbor Bank. Capital will be used for 24 months. Investors will receive 20% return on their investment, and we're also interested in potential equity partners if they're conscious-minded. Our financials. We currently have 30 members in Conscious Investors Roundtable who have paid $25,000 to join, and they pay $197 per month. Our goal within 90 days is to increase our membership to 150 in 90 days, which is to generate $325,000 in new membership signups, as well as $29,550 per month in monthly revenue. That's a total of $354,455 in 90 days. The tools that we're going to use, which is really at the core of our model, is a membership-based website portal that allows the members to connect and provide their properties, as well as the home buyers to connect with those properties, do the research, look at photos of those properties, and decide which neighborhoods better reflect where they want to live. We also are going to be able to connect network hubs, which is at the core of our model, is because we're going to be inviting community stakeholders to be a part of it, nonprofit organizations, and everyone is going to be able to communicate with one another through this unique web portal that we have called the RIA Nexus. And then finally, our CRET model, where a conscious real estate transaction model, is based on 5 programs that are designed to find solutions to figure out exactly where the home buyer is in the home buying process. So, for example, we have mortgage qualified, which we call Program A. And that's someone who is ready to buy a house in 60 days or less. And the criteria they would have they have the credit and the money to qualify for a mortgage. Program B is 6 months. Those individuals have a few challenges on their credit, may need to save a little bit more money, establish new credit trade lines, and then we can actually have 6 months to redevelop a property and have that person in a situation to buy a property. Our third program, which is really the heart of this presentation, is our investor-owned program, which is for individuals who are 2 to 3 years out from purchasing a home, either through bankruptcy or foreclosure, and they're better in a situation where we call investor-owned, which is based on a rent-to-own model, where the home buyers, again, will invest a portion of their money, this is down payment, and then a portion on a monthly basis, which will be deducted from the purchase price on the back end. Program D is we call the road back to home ownership, and that's for individuals who are post-foreclosure 3 to 5 years. And then home ownership sustainability is for individuals who just really want a long-term solution, 5 to 10 years, and they have significant credit challenges which won't make them mortgage ready. So we have a roadmap for a home buyer at any level of the game to help them get into home ownership. So the question is not whether if they can get into home ownership, it's a matter of when. Our model also talks about where we stress the importance of sustainability with our model. Sustainability is achieved through pre and post home buying education to make sure that home buyers are prepared to engage in the transaction of home ownership, understanding exactly what everything is along the lines as far as who the professionals they're going to be working with, because the home buyer has to understand that they're in the position of employer at that point. They're going to be hiring professionals to work with them throughout the real estate transaction process. They also need to understand how they need to manage their money and understand this asset that they just recently acquired, which is their home. We believe that putting folks strictly from renting to home ownership directly without having pre and post home ownership education is a recipe for disaster, in which we've seen that over the years in our current real estate model. So our focus is to make sure that the homeowners are prepared through education, prepared through counseling, prepared through having a cloud of support of connected community individuals around them, from their employers to the faith-based organizations to community-based nonprofit organizations that come in and provide health, financial, wellness education to really help transform a community. Again, just some key tidbits on our investor-owned model. Our home buyers, leasees must have first month's rent, last month's rent, and security deposit. Again, credit is not an issue for them, so that's why we ask for the extra amount up front to give us a little bit more risk management. They must attend all credit, home ownership, and financial education classes and counseling sessions. They must follow the credit and financial action plans that's laid out by the mortgage lender as well as the home ownership counselors. And they must have open an account with Harbor Bank so that we can make sure that they transition from the unbanked world and that we're monitoring their credit and their accounts on a monthly basis so that we don't run into a situation where someone's not ready in 2 or 3 years. We can see the problems ahead of time because we're dealing with them on a monthly basis. Our goal is to change the way people think about their finances, the way people approach home ownership, and the way real estate transactions are done in general. Thank you for your time, and I rest for questions.
Thank you.
Would
you like me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay. I think what you have presented is a very worthwhile endeavor. We have an office in Baltimore, right in the city, right in Pigtown. I went to college and law school in Baltimore, so even though I grew up in Montgomery County, so I have a nice feel for Baltimore, and I have an affinity towards the city. I think it's a great city. It needs to be revitalized. We own property in Canton, which is one of the neighborhoods that has been revitalized in the last 15 years. So that being said, one of the first questions I have is, what neighborhoods are you looking at doing the revitalization in to start with? Where are you going to buy these 20 properties as a package? And are they going to be like all in one block? Or are they going to be in 20 different neighborhoods?
Well, the neighborhoods that we've actually started was based on identifying, and we spent 2 years researching what was the best neighborhoods,
Okay.
based off having infrastructure such as employers, churches. So the neighborhoods that we've chosen that we're going to start our initial project is on the west side of Baltimore.
Okay.
Neighborhoods of Upton, Marble Hill, and Druid Hill.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. I'll let you go next because I'll come back.
Sure,
I don't want to
sure.
monopolize. If we have time, I got some other questions for you on the financial side of things.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I'll actually, great segue. I'll piggyback on that. When we talked about the constructs of your collaborative relationships, the banking relationships, the faith-based organizations that you're actually leveraging today and this initiative, can you talk to us a little bit about how what your board looks like, how decisions are being made collaboratively, and who's actually driving decisions on the ROI? Because when we talk about conscious capitalism, the question is, where does profit end and where does conscious capitalism begin?
Right. That's an excellent question. Now, the good thing about real estate, it gives us a pretty defined product that we can look at what the price point for acquisition, renovation, and resale. Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, our board consists of, as I said before, clergy from the community, banking professionals from Harbor Bank, as other banks as well, and financial individuals with from Wall Street background experience who's going to be the ones that's responsible for managing the money and making sure the money is invested properly in that context. Mm-hmm. We also are working with builders that we have that's on our board that we can actually leverage that, and attorneys to give us that full breadth of information so that we can make sure that legally and compliance we're making sure we're doing the right things in that decision. Now, when it comes to conscious capitalism, you're making the point of where does profit end and the good or the public benefit ends.
Correct.
Is that our public benefit is based on making sure that we provide the sustainability and the revitalization around the neighborhood. So it's basically the same type of profit model as in regular real estate. It's just that we don't believe in taking the entire profit out of the community. We believe that we can make $15,000 spread on each property that I outlined before, that we can put 10% of that profit back into the community, support some of the programs to make sure that value in the community is improved through our efforts.
Right. Last quick question. Does this investment include any local small businesses, hair salons, barbershops, car washes, the local small business entities where there are actually an opportunity for that money to be drawn into the community and loop in the community before it leaves the community?
Absolutely. Our motto is this. We use an old proverbial statement, if it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to change a village. And so in that context, we have 4 key objectives within the conscious community model, which is number 1, sustainable home ownership. Number 2, business development. So we're going to be creating job opportunities and business opportunities that our partners within the conscious capitalism movement can provide microloans, coaching, and mentoring for aspiring entrepreneurs who endeavor to start a business. So in addition to buying the residential properties in those neighborhoods, we're also going to be purchasing the commercial properties, which if any entrepreneurs are looking to open their hair salons or any of the small mom and pop businesses you named, there would be the opportunity for that as well.
I'm going to piggyback. I think my question is going to piggyback a little bit on the last question. You mentioned that you're looking for $500,000. So I'd like to understand, what's your runway for that $500,000? How long is that going to last? And if any of that is part of the support services that you're looking to incorporate in order to increase the appetite of the stakeholders that you're bringing into the properties?
Well, we're looking at utilizing the $5 million. You said the $500,000
Yeah,
or the $5 million?
I was asking about the $500,000 that you said.
Yes. So the $500,000 would be used primarily as to leverage to get a loan from Harbor Bank for $5 million. So we're going to be utilizing the money to do some initial seed capital where we're going to be doing some events to bring out the community, to announce what we're going to do, radio shows. We're actually going to be launching a reality TV show called Buying Baltimore, which is going to emphasize what our movement is, because our whole concept is based upon the movement. So the money is going to be utilized for that purpose, but it's also going to be utilized to sit in the bank for 60% of that to help leverage the $5 million loan that we are working with Harbor Bank, who's already on board, to secure that, so we can use that money to begin to buy properties.
Okay, and so with that being part of your seed capital, is the total amount that you're looking to raise $5 million?
Yes.
And is that traditional lending? I hear you say Harbor Bank. Are there other banks that's putting into that pool?
Well, at this time, we have agreement with Harbor Bank only.
Okay, and my last question, because you mentioned having the people purchasing having accounts at Harbor Bank. Are they going to be able to have accounts at other banks, or is Harbor Bank truly the bank that's supporting this initiative?
In phase 1.
Okay.
Now, as we begin to do phase 2 and phase 3, we're going to branch out to other banks,
Okay.
build the relationships. But we felt that we wanted to build a model with phase 1.
Gotcha. You have one more question? I think we have
Do we have
enough
time?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a bunch of questions, but let's just focus in on that $500,000 that you're looking to raise right now. You're saying you want to use that as collateral for the $5 million loan. Am I correct?
Portion of that.
A portion of that. So
Yes.
you're at 10% with that $500,000. Has Harbor committed to having collateral less than 10% of a $5 million loan? Because if they do, I'd like to go talk to them, because there's a lot of businesses that would love to get a loan for less than 10% collateral.
Well, no, I'm not going to speak on behalf of Harbor Bank in that context.
So there hasn't been any agreement reached that the $500,000, the number that they need to collateralize a $5 million loan?
No, it hasn't.
Okay. So that $500,000, you're saying a portion of it is for the collateralization, but what portion is for your operating expenses? Because you talked about the revenue that you're bringing in, but in order to bring that revenue in order to manage that revenue, the key for an investor is, what are your operating expenses? Are they legitimate? Are they in line with the business and what you're trying to do? What is, and I shouldn't have used the word legitimate, are they relative and relevant to what you're trying to do? I'm not sure a reality TV show is the way to go to promote this. I think there's a lot of other ways to promote it where you're not going to be as capital intensive. But so if you want to speak to your operating budget, the expense side of it, not the revenue side, but
Right.
the expense side is what I'm really, as an investor, what I would be looking at.
Well, currently our expenses are going to be roughly about $15,000 a month. Now, we're going to be able to generate, just from our membership alone, from the monthly residuals, about $29,000. And so our focus was not to be such debt-centered that we use all the money strictly for operating expenses, because, again, we're going to be generating enough revenue to cover those expenses. Our focus was being able to help create the movement, because, again, we believe that the success of what we're doing is predicated on changing the image of how folks see Baltimore City.
Yep.
And changing the image is going to have to be showing individuals purchasing homes and creating the demand to want to live back in Baltimore City. Secondly, creating a demand for folks who actually want to start a business in Baltimore City. So we feel that the money is going to be used to help create that movement and sustain that movement.
Okay, I got the signal that time is up, but I can't resist asking this last question. That $500,000, is that part of what you're looking for from equity investors?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much,
Thank
Christopher.
you.